So the title of the paper is Diffie-Hellman Picture Show. I'm Gabriel from the University of Vienna in Austria. And in the next 10 minutes, I'll tell you some key exchange stories from commercial voice over Wi-Fi deployments. So as the title already hints, the topic is telco security. And in nowadays generations, in 4G and 5G, there are two ways for a customer to connect to the operator. The first one is the traditional one by simply connecting over a cell tower. And the second one, the rather new one, is by using a Wi-Fi access point. So this technology is called voice over Wi-Fi or also Wi-Fi calling. And yeah, for most operators, it's the preferred channel for calls and messages because for them it's cheaper because they do not need any base stations, any infrastructure there. But yeah, it's used a lot in practice, so this makes it a very interesting research target. If we take a look at it in a more technical sense, this is how it would look like. So on the left side, we have the UE, which is the smartphone. The smartphone comes with some preloaded and operator-specific configuration files. And for the upper path, that is the traditional path, the smartphone connects to a base station. The packets are then forwarded towards the evolved packet core network of the operator, and then they end up at the IMS, at the IP multimedia subsystem, which is the component of the operator that speaks VoIP, that speaks voice over IP. Alternative, the lower path is the path where the smartphone uses the Wi-Fi access point. It connects to an EPDG, which is the Evolved Packet Data Gateway. So this is just the internet exposed component of the operator. And since we are using Wi-Fi here, of course, there is need for additional security, and the session or the connection is protected via IPsec. In fact, it's 3 tunnels. The first one is the baseline for the connection. It's the IC layer, and it's responsible for signaling and management of the other residual connection. The second layer is the IPsec layer in tunnel mode, which is pretty much like a VPN connection. So it gives the customer an IP address within the operator's range. And layer 3 is the SIP layer, which is used for the voice over IP configuration, and it's protected by IPsec in transport mode. When I approached this topic, I simply checked out the packet that my phone was sending. So this is a Wireshark screenshot, and you can imagine this IC handshake. It's pretty similar to a TLS handshake, so the client just communicates. It supported configurations and operations and options. So it's sending some security associations, for example, ciphers that it supports to the server. And also it's suggesting a key exchange, a Diffie-Hellman key exchange group. In this case, my phone was suggesting the Diffie-Hellman key exchange group 2, which is the 1024-bit prime group. And my operator did not take the best choice, because since the CCS paper of 2015, we know that the researchers estimated that an academic team could break 768-bit prime group, and that the nation state could break 1024-bit prime. And of course, since 2015, computers just got faster, and cracking power got cheaper, and this is more easily available nowadays. But of course, this was just one operator, and we wanted to take a step back and look at the bigger picture, and we wanted also to know what the recommendations are from ETSI and FreeGPP, because they like to produce a lot of specifications, very long specifications, and we took a deep dive into this specification hell and kind of analyzed how it developed over time. And this is how it developed. So the red line is the Diffie-Hellman group that was used in my example. So the Diffie-Hellman group 1024-bit prime group. And it was pretty much the standard for quite some time. But in 2011, it was discouraged. And then in 2016, maybe as a reaction to the CCS paper, it was deprecated. And the main replacement for it is Diffie-Hellman group 14, so 24/8-bit prime group. And yeah, so this is just how it should be. Of course, we also want to know how it is in practice. So we had a 3-step evaluation approach. The first step was to take a look at the preloaded configurations that are present on the smartphone, at the operator-specific configurations. The second step was to analyze and to probe the IPsec client on the user equipment. And the last step was to also do some active measurements towards the EPDG to kind of find out which groups are supported by which operator. So this is the result of the first step. Of course, we did not only evaluate a single smartphone, but we took a look at different manufacturers and at different devices. So we've analyzed Apple, Samsung, and also we've showed that there is a Qualcomm generic approach to extract this kind of configuration data. And yeah, the result shows that my operator was not just an exception, but Diffie-Hellman group 2, so 1024-bit prime, is still very popular in practice. The second step was where we probed the user equipment, the IPsec client on the user equipment, and we found some downgrade possibilities there. So this is an example of the key exchange of the handshake. And the client, what it does, it selects a preferred group. So in this case, it's Diffie-Hellman group 14, but it also signals additional support for other group. And then, of course, if the server, for example, does not support this group 14, it could switch or could ask the client to switch to another group. In this case, it could ask it to switch to Diffie-Hellman group 2. And after that, the client would start over and respect the server's choice. As you can guess, a malicious interceptor could inject a downgrade packet here, and then downgrade the overall security of the connection. Of course, this could be mitigated by servers by always demanding for the strongest group, but our server-side measurements showed that even 41% of the servers, they tolerate weak client choices, so this attack would then be possible. Even worse, for MediaTek clients, we found an additional downgrade vulnerability that was just present on those devices. And instead of being able to downgrade to another group that is supported by the client, an attacker could then downgrade to an arbitrary Diffie-Hellman group. So the client does not check whether this Diffie-Hellman group was actually supported or not. And yeah, this worked for MediaTek, and in practice, yeah, the attacker could then choose an arbitrary group, and most probably it would try to downgrade to the weakest group, so Diffie-Hellman group 1 or 2. Of course, we need server-side support to make this work, and I have bad news because most of the servers, they support these weak groups as well. So Diffie-Hellman group 2, the 1024-bit prime group, it was still the most popular group at the server side. And also the Diffie-Hellman group 1, the 768-bit group, it was supported by 40% of the servers, although it was never specified to be used in the telco world. But yeah, sadly, this key exchange story does not end here, because when we were going through our server-side log files for the server-side measurements, we were actually discovering that there are some duplicate values for the key exchange, which got us suspicious, of course, because identical key exchange value would also mean that these operators are using the same private keys. And of course, a private key is supposed to be kept private, so this is not a good thing, especially because we noticed that these 16 operators that were affected by this are totally unrelated. So some of them were from Europe, some of them were from South America and from Asia, and our estimation showed that it's about 140 million of subscribers that are affected by this. And of course, anyone having these private keys could simply take them and use them to decrypt the voice over Wi-Fi traffic of the affected customers. A more advanced analysis showed then that the affected operators all use ZTE core equipment. And of course, we took all these results and did some responsible disclosure. We've sent them to GSMA, who gladly helped us doing the coordination, because it's not so easy to reach all the affected operators. And yeah, we've reported this in February, and we got 2 CVEs with high severity. MediaTek fixed it via an Android security update, and ZTE let us know that the reason for this was that some private keys that were used for integration testing, they were accidentally included into the production images. We already had our measurement scripts for the server side, so we set up some continuous scans to know which operators fixed it and which not. So the first operator, it fixed it about 1 month after the disclosure. This was also the operator that got individually contacted by us because it's in Austria. And the other ones, they applied the fix a bit later. So in June, all of the 16 operators had it fixed. But it wouldn't be a Diffie-Hellman picture show if the story would end here, because like before going to this conference, I was again re-evaluating the server-side scanning script and the results. And I noticed that in June, some operators started to again reuse those private keys and those key exchange values, which is very weird, but it's what happens. So of course we again we reported this to GSMA, and I hope and suspect that this will be fixed soon. Just one quick remark. So these server-side results, they maybe do not show the full picture because some operators, they do geo-blocking at the voice over Wi-Fi layer, which of course leads to the result that we do not cover it from our scans that are done via a server in Vienna in Austria. And this geo-blocking at least was shown in a related paper by us. It's called Why ET Can't Phone Home. We use some commercial VPN subscriptions to do the scanning, so it's a nice paper. Maybe you're interested in that. And with that, I kind of conclude for this paper. Of course, we also have some nice artifacts that are on GitHub. With that, I'm open for questions now.
All right, thank you very much.